Thank you, Chairman. I think WRC always does some fantastic work. Not because I was a past chairman, but because I was a central council member. I have a view on different regions. Everybody does a fantastic job, but I think the endeavor here is always to try and see if we can excel and try and add value to our members, which I think is fantastic. And also the teamwork that we do here at WRC is also very different than probably you will see in any part of the country today. But I think, Chairman, you started with a very interesting note about my wife. Incidentally, I met her. This is what I used to tell kids. So anyway, I don't mind repeating it. We didn't have technology during our times. We were like in SSC. After you have to become like you have to go to commerce, etc. So you have to go and stand in a queue, right? So I also went and stood in a queue, and I had got like 92% or something, which means you should be able to get an admission in Nasimonji College. Nasimonji College is closer to our house and known well. So we said okay. So I met a very cute looking girl. She was standing right behind me that day. So and then and as we progressed, it was raining during those times, admission times, and the gate closed. We didn't have to go and online see if you've got admission. Right? And the gates of Nasimonji College, kind of literally closed. So I had just one guy called Ritesh Idnani. He used to be the head for Infosys, country head and director for Infosys in US for a long time. He's a CEO of one of the large companies today. He had 99. I had 92. He had 99. So, but the gates closed, admissions class. So we said, boss, we've got everything which is required, etc., etc. So at least then Ritesh's mom came and finally they took him because he was at 99, but we were all kept out. And I literally went and cried that day at home, and I realized that was my first day, and I realized that uh, uh, degrees don't matter at all. Getting those mark sheets, they don't matter. Fortunately, I used to play hockey for my school, and I was the hockey captain. So somebody said sports में भी admission होता है. So I said ठीक है यार sports में चले जाते हैं. So we went and got our admission in sports quota, which was 1 month later. So when I went and joined the college, so I went to the top floor and where the college was there. So you normally have to decide where you want to go and sit, right? So incidentally, the girl behind me had already got the admission somehow. So I said, Acha, chalo, I know her, so I'll go and sit behind her because we kind of got acquainted. So I keep telling kids that she incidentally happens to be my wife today. So I keep telling kids that don't fall for cute girls because you'll end up marrying them. Another thing is what you get at college really sticks to you. But the interesting part is that why I'm trying to share this with you is two reasons. One, of course, even when you become a chartered accountant, that chartered accountancy doesn't matter at all. That certificate has value, of course, because you're able to put your signatures. But beyond that, it doesn't matter. Beyond that, what matters is very different in life. So just to address your question, she still writes her name as Nirma Verma, not because she likes her surname better or my surname not too good or whatever. When we started off, we were kids, like coming out of college, and the dream was pretty high, right? When you started off as a family concern, husband and wife, that time of course we were not married, is also not perceived to be good when you're entering into large corporates. You have to be professionals, right? So you cannot say another partner is my wife. You can say that maybe after some time. Now it doesn't matter, right? Even if I have four more uncles and nephews working in the company. But at that point in time, when you create a firm, it doesn't kind of give a good impression because it looks like a family firm. So that was the reason that, for a long time working in large corporates, she would always refer to me as boss. Even today, when she goes to a large audit committee anywhere, she'll say, I don't know, I'll have to ask boss, so you ask that. Because because in a large organization, the expectation is that you're a professional setup body which is supporting a large organization. So everything matters, impression matters, everything matters. And we touch wood, we started right from that impression itself, where her email address today itself still continues to be nirma.verma@anvglobal.com. So why I try to share with you is because we are standing here today to try and discuss, what the journey was like and, what should one look at. These are some small things that you have to be very mindful of when you do that. And Chairman, I kind of got to know that you were recording just maybe yesterday when I spoke to Subhash. So, I had to listen to my wife because, she said you don't have a very good haircut. So I said, doesn't matter. WRC here. इसमें आ गया ना? कॉपी नहीं हो रहा, इसमें शेयर कर दो ना, परफेक्ट है। मैं खोल दूं? रुको ना, टाइम है उसके लिए, मैं बताता हूँ, अभी रहने दो। All right. So let's try and chat about where the journey is. And the chairman is right that we have done substantial work in information technology. And substantial means by today's standard, when I take you through my discussion, you will realize that we are one of the best people in the world for cyber tech and deep cyber tech. And we run some of the largest corporations in the world. So sometimes I don't believe ourselves from where we have come to what we support is amazingly different. And we support armies, navies, secret services. Again, the depth is very different. The size is very different. The impact is very different. So, like I said, when we were in college, everybody wants, I don't know, but during our times, we all wanted to become pilots. So you have to chase a journey, whatever you want to do in life, right? So I had a lot of friends in school. Their dads were pilots. They were moving around the world. So I said, I also want to become a pilot. So I went to the Jew Aerodrome, the one where you learn and get a student's pilot license. And I said that I would want to register myself. So they said कि आपको रोज आके 4 घंटे यहाँ पे बैठना पड़ेगा. क्यों? Because you have to take permission from the main airport whether our planes can fly or not. That didn't gel too well with me, so I decided somehow that this is not working out. Second, when you come closer to your TY.com, you're very unsure of what you want to do in life. All of us have gone through, our kids are going through today. We have no idea of what to do in life, right? Nasimonji College, everybody's doing CA. So CA was something which is mota mota evolved in the mind that, this is something that you want to do. At home also, my dad is a company secretary, so that commerce mindset was there, right? And somehow that MBA thing was never on top of our mind. Chartered accountancy was perceived to be, and it is still foundationally very strong. If you look at the foundation, it requires a lot of hard work, of course. So we wanted to do chartered accountancy. Now we were in college and we thought, CA तो करेंगे यार, but शाम को क्या करना है? तो I don't know if you know Darak Saab, he happens to be from NM College. He used to teach. He's a leading chartered accountant. He used to teach us costing. So we said, चलो cost accountant हो जाएंगे तब तक. Again, little thinking about really whether degrees matter, how many degrees matter. Some kids come to me today and say, I want to do my CMA, CFA, whatever. Now I tell them that forget all that, boss, just take it one right, and then let's get to the second one. So we became a cost accountant, and we became cost accountant before you become a chartered accountant, etc. So very entrepreneurial. Generally, chartered accountants are very entrepreneurial. I don't know how it comes in our blood, because at that point in time, almost 70% were in practice, maybe 65, 70 during our times. Now, of course, the ratios have changed, and maybe it is 70 here and 30 here. But practice was supposed to be and considered to be a fantastic opportunity. So I started to think in college that, okay, once I come out of college, what do you really want to do? So I kind of created an online directory, because as a student, I was never taught how to choose a subject. So I went to a venture capitalist, .com boom was there. He said, good idea, you will take a lot of time, blah, blah, blah. For some reason, it didn't work out. Then I went and conceptualized an idea about Practo, how you have Practo today. Went to Rashesh, who's chairman of Edelweiss. He said, fantastic idea, but who's a doctor in your team? We didn't have a doctor in our team. So again, I'm saying these are small thoughts which come to your mind, which shapes up your entrepreneurial journey eventually. So then came to the mind that, okay, we are hopefully likely to become a chartered accountant. What do you do after becoming a chartered accountant? So what was available in the market? Statutory audit, internal audits, little bit, but statutory audit, and most of the time income tax work, which is what GST is. This Bhagyoday is not possible unless you have 400 people sitting here and maybe 50 people sitting in the GST. I keep telling this to people, right? Because GST, you'll have 200, 300 people sitting below, right? Because that's your daily work. So during my time also, when you look at it, income tax, you will have 500 people come. So income tax was there, statutory audit, nothing to say good or bad. Right time, right place, they were doing a fantastic job. I, for some reason, felt that how do I create a firm which will be faster than a larger firm? So did some small piece of all our friends were in Anderson, etc., and we held those companies in high esteem even during those point in time. Go to their offices, neatly dressed, suspenders, Their admission form was so thick, etc. Everything was classy. So when you're trying to do your articleship, how do you beat companies like this, right? So if you want to do taxation, there are already 5,000 people doing taxation. Now, if you want to become very good in tax, you require two skills. One is, of course, you need to understand what tax is all about. And the largest skill that you require is a very good network in the income tax office at that point in time. Maybe today it's slightly changed, right? And a solid network to make your cases heard and eventually clear your cases. Can a 21-year-old guy have something like this? Probably not, right? The second thing is, I want to become a statutory auditor. Of course, everybody loves to become a statutory auditor. Who wouldn't mind auditing a $10 billion company? Everybody wants to audit a $10 billion company. Nobody wants to let you enter into a boardroom when you're 22. You're a kid, you cannot do that as well. So I went to a very senior guy and said, what should one be looking at if he wants to craft a fantastic firm? And it should be slightly forward looking. So good that I kind of heard this guy out, and he said that, look, I think technology is coming up, shaping up very fast. Why don't you look at what is available on that side? Now, the first thing when technology hits you, audit does not come to your mind, right? But eventually, when I read a little bit on Google, this, that, etc., I realized that there's going to be a lot of transformation, which means a lot of things that we do today, those controls will actually have to be embedded within a technology. That was 1999. So we said, oh yeah, this is likely to be. So another thing that you have to constantly research on a new upcoming area, very, very important. Another thing that I realized is that these large companies like ENYs, KPMGs, what do they do when they do business process re-engineering? What do they do? Anybody? They embed a piece of technology. So if you would have looked at 15 years back, a business process re-engineering meant, and anyway, what does it mean? It means trying to do the same job faster, meaner, better, with less, maybe some less mistakes or whatever. So what would Accenture's Anderson of the world that time and Accenture's of the world even today and McKinsey's of the world even today, what do? They try and inject some form of technology in your business processes. So again, these technologies become a very important element where somebody needs to review them, whether they are doing right or wrong. You can make a manual mistake, you can make 10, 15, 20, 500, 1,000. But if technology makes a mistake, they'll make it in 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 because the impact is larger. That also kind of guided me to and made me realize that I think somebody should start looking at technology controls, right? And it was early times in life. Now comes the ability for somebody to take a little bit of risk. And a lot of people in my house, everybody, my friends said, why don't you go and work for Anderson, this, that, etc., getting good salaries. My friends used to get a salary of almost ₹1,00,000 that time on the first day when they joined Anderson and stuff. They used to pay really, really well. So I said, no, I think, this is a good area to be in. So now, how do you start something like this? And we're all faced with the problem statement that you identify a good area. Where do you start working? How do you start working? So the first is you have to clear the clutter and make your mind very focused. कि मुझे technology में कुछ करना है. That means probably I don't want to do a lot of other stuff. Now, how do you have to say a no also becomes very important. So I went and I started to talk to just about anybody and everybody that I knew that I do technology controls. Believe me, I had zero idea about technology controls. I do technology controls and I would want to do anything which comes around technology auditing. So people will say fantastic, etc., good. What do you look at? Of course, you study a little bit. We are chartered accountants. इतना तो मतलब हमारे में है कि we can do some research and come back and say technology controls require A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc., etc. So went on doing this for almost a year, right? But you have to survive in this world. So I did a little bit of project finance. Another very interesting stuff is, again, a kid doing a project finance is very difficult, which means the only skill that I had is I come out from a good college. My ability to create a report was better. Articulation was slightly better. We printed nice reports. We went to a couple of banks and managed to do, in the month of March, after a year, managed to crack a few lending deals for some reasonable sized clients. I always wanted to do technology, which means you have to invest back into what you want to do. The entire money made on those deals, roughly in the last week of March, was invested back in what? In hiring people. So I went and hired 4 chartered accountants without even thinking. Why? Because I could pay salary to those 4 chartered accountants for 1 year. That was the money that I made. So I could easily do that. Again, hired them from the best colleges. When you're doing all this, sometimes luck also helps you. It's not always, you have to be at the right time, right place. And of course, eventually the luck hopefully always will also fall into place. Right? So I've hired 3 or 4 people. It's got a nice team. And I hired them with the objective and trying to convince them that we will do something really transformational. We don't want to do this tax audit. And they loved it. Chartered accountants, they loved it. They said, we want to do something. Kids, very smart ones. And as luck would hold it, one of the guys that I would have gone and discussed about technology control called up maybe after a year and said, Anil, I think you were talking about technology control. We are implementing a huge SAP installation. It's a big installation. I want you to audit it. KPMG is implementing it. I said, okay. Now they called us to office. Always remember, if you're trying to do something new, make sure you do a lot of research where you walk into anybody's cabin, right? We asked for 2 or 3 days. We said, I'll come on Tuesday, Wednesday. We made sure that we literally scanned the world and understood SAP. I had no understanding of SAP. I understood ERP solution, accounting. We scanned the very entire internet, downloaded manuals, read it overnight, and I would have read every page of it, and I went and stood there. Again, chartered accountant, इतना तो हमारे में logic है कि if we read something, we are able to articulate it and put it in the right fashion. Right? So next day when somebody met and said, okay, this is the 4 KPMG team, they're all senior guys here. Implementing it, ledger account is this, transactions run into million transactions, etc., etc. How are you going to audit it? We knew what to look at. Yeah. Auditing is something which is ingrained in chartered accountants, right? This is what I need to look at. This is what I need to look at. These are the controls I need to look at. He said, okay, I think sounds good, right? But can you do it alone? You can't do it alone. Where's your team? Wow, here is where luck helps. Maybe the right call at the right time. So I said, can I meet your team? They have already assumed that I have a reasonable size practice because of the way that we have approached it, right? So he said, where is your team? I said, sir, I'll come with my team tomorrow. So happy to have a chat. And I get these guys tomorrow. Young kids, smart, they're all chartered account. Now, because they are dressed well, they are smart, they all come in suits, even if they're like a 2-year-old chartered account does not matter. Because even our KPMG, ENY की team भी ऐसे ही आती है, कोई मतलब कोई aircraft से उतर के नहीं आती है, right? They come in the same place. So he said, oh, okay, एक दो से बात किया, okay, I think you have a fantastic team there. Nobody had an idea what SAP is. The next 10 days, like exams, we just went out and we said we will not do anything but 50,000 पेज का डॉक्यूमेंट होगा उसको हम लोग we will read it to the team to the extent that there are 50,000 tables in SAP हमको literally buy out हो गया buy out करना तो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट को अच्छे से that is somebody that nobody can beat us with, right? Because we are used to doing this, right? So we literally by hearted 50,000 tables, and that happened to be one of the largest banks in this country, ICICI Bank, right? And this is again where you strike, where you have to do all the right things, and some good things happen to you, and then you have to strike some things which are right. But your quality, your delivery, and your outcome cannot be anything less than 95%. Otherwise, you don't sustain these kind of transactions. Anything that you do, whether you're doing GST, whether you're doing tax, it has to be at 95%. Because we already had done a fantastic job in what we had to do, that entire task of trying to, it's a migration, basically. Now, migration audits, everybody understands what a migration audit is. But first is you need to understand the balance sheet of a size of that bank. It's not even SAP or any, you have to understand the size of that bank. I had never done branch audit, bank audit in my life. In that one audit, I have understood branch, central, CPC, ye, wo, we have understood it, left, right, and center. Left, right, and center. Table, transaction, ledger accounts, how does a sub-ledger account come up, how does it flow to the GL? There are like 50, 100 applications creating that, I thought that accounting is like a simple thing where sub jaake ek mein feed karenge to accounting ho jayega. You realize when you go to these large companies, they have 500 systems. The sub-ledgers are sitting in 500 different systems. How do you import those sub-ledgers? How do you get it? Like in 99, 2000, very interesting stuff for which KPMG was charging in crores of rupees. Right? So that was what is the turning point. And once you understand this, touch wood, we know we understood banking very well. So now it's not a question of technology. You need to understand the business processes very well. And we literally understood credit card, retail lending, wholesale lending, treasury, such that people started to call us and say, boss, I'm from the treasury department. We are doing a migration. Come and help us. Finished. We understood treasury very well. Literally, I will tell you, in the next 3 or 4 years, we would have understood if a bank sells 23, that time used to be less number of products. Now there are large number of products. If the bank sells 20 products, 23 products, 40 products, we understood the technology behind it, we understood the ledger accounts behind it, we understood the processes of the product, and blah, blah, blah. Now comes the interesting part. Those were also legacy systems, right? And the world at that point in time in 2002 was trying to move to advanced systems. Every 5 years, the world moves to some advanced systems, right? And people wanted to migrate from old systems to new systems. Who will they call? They had no choice but to call us because we had gone through 500 applications. No ENY had gone through it, no KPMG had gone through it. Nobody had looked at our credit card system so well. Otherwise, they would have had to call 20 team. So, well, boss, you know what? We have got 4 more products getting treasury migrating. But boss, we have not done treasury. It doesn't matter. You understand the system very well, right? Yeah. We understand the system. We understand your controls. We understand middle office. We understand front office. We understand back office. We understand reconciliation. Why? Because we just did it for you in the ledger accounts. That's it. End of the story. That team from 3 people literally became 30 people in a Zifty, right? Now, if you get hands on any of these technologies or anything that you want to do in your life, you need to really go and literally understand it like 500% very well. Anything that you want, from a process to a technology to a control, you have to understand it very well. And that is something I'm telling you, we kind of, literally understood it better than somebody who gives a treasury product. One of the best known treasury products in the world is Murex. They are run by 2 or 3 brothers it's a French company. Fantastic product. So a lot of banks are now moving from Kandor, they move to Murex. All the banks in the country, large banks use a Murex system. We've understood it better than the guys who are implementing it for us. Now, because of our strength comes another door which opens up for you. And now because people move from one bank to another to another, people start calling you out, right? So we branded ourselves. You need to have the right branding. The first thing that I would have bought in the company would be our entire workflow management solution to ensure that I bought it in 1999. And that also, when I was surfing the net, we got it for 5 lakh rupees, the entire code. So the code is yours, you have to use it, but it's for 5 lakh rupees only. Invested money into technology so that we could start it the right way. So these small things which today may not even look any impressive to you actually created the foundation for a lot of things for us. Why? Because we rolled up our sleeves and did it by hand, understanding treasury, understanding technology behind it, to the extent that somebody now starts calling up and says, "Yaar, aapne functional controls kiye, business control kiye. Now we need to put security control. Would you like to do this?" Right? And now I had to be very honest because I had not done cybersecurity at that point. I said, "Look, I have not done cybersecurity. So, but this is what I want to do." Like, security control. They're not even called cybersecurity at that point in time. Called security control. So there are business and technical controls and there are security controls. But this is what we would love to do. Now they said, "No, we are very happy with, all of these guys." A lot of our customers said, "No, we are very happy with what you guys have done. We have no problem." Why? Because the market also does not have it. That makes it a point that you're ahead of the market, and if your competition is less, you get more opportunities and you get it faster. You have to be ahead in the market. If you're playing a catch-up game, then people want to call 20 people. Then you don't have a choice. So we were not playing a catch-up game. We were slightly ahead of the market in what we were doing. The only option people had is to call Accenture or Andersons of the world. There was no other choice, which put us in a driving seat to say, "Yeah, sure, I'll get 40 people and I'll do technology controls now." And we did that. Now that also, the way that we did it was we went to everybody's server, everybody wire. I mean, we would have put this wire. The question that you need to ask in anything new you're doing is, why do you even require a wire to connect to this machine? Why does a LAN wire? What does a LAN wire mean? Why does it require to be on LAN? What does a LAN mean? We went ahead with asking questions really at the ground level to understand that what does even a LAN wire mean? Once you've understood this, and because the entire technology team is supposed to respond to you, they don't have a choice. You're an auditor. So sometimes I tell my people that if you're auditors, especially internal auditors, statutory auditors, your ability to ask questions and understand from a large customer or even a mid-sized customer the business is amazing because they have to answer your questions, right? So we would have literally broken this machine into 5,000 pieces and understood every piece of what the machine really means fundamentally. Not to say that I could do something, not to say that I could screw it, but I understand what a GPU does. I understand what the machine does, right? And if you are working at that level, and now you get an opportunity to do something like this, that really transformed the company from a 3 people to 100 people very quickly in the next 1 year. By 2002 or 3, we were probably just a little smaller than Anija. Anija used to be and is still, of course, a very good large internal audit firm at that point in time, right? And they had around 100, 120 people, etc., 150 people at that point in time. I don't know how many they have today, but we kind of overshot that very, very quickly. Now comes what? It comes strength to an organization. And the organization now has the ability to do a couple of other things that one would want to do. And then you kind of, one by one, try and identify opportunities where again our mantra was, am I ahead of the time? So this was step number one done. Step number two was, again, after every 2 years, thinking, hey, what's up new now? We've done this. We've done almost all banks. We work for 85, 90% of the private banking industry already in 2002, 2003. What now? Somebody said, yeah, India is doing very well in BPO services. So we said, okay, what do you do in BPO services? How do I get a job in BPO services? So we can, what really is important? Labor law compliances. That's it. We don't want to do labor law compliances. You don't get more than 2,000 rupees try and do anything in labor law compliances. What else can you do in a BPO KPO? Again, you can do statutory audit, etc., etc., internal audit. So we don't want to do that. Anything else which is important? Our minds actually sometimes are not able to do good research also. You have to prod people and push them. I said, hey, boss, dhoond kya ho, dhoond kya ho. You know what? Eventually, Sambak came and said that we have put a lot of BPOs in this country, which is doing credit card collections and marketing for people in the United States. Okay, so I said, why are you looking at Indian laws? Please try and look at US laws. And we realized that US, every state had a law that time, right? Federal and state laws, and every state law was different. When you can call up people for marketing, what time you can call up, in the morning you can call up or not. If I have to collect credit card money from you, can I call you up 2 times or 3 times, after which I cannot call you up? Can I call your wife and you at the same time? Can I share information with them? All of that. He said, wow. I said, who's doing this? So somebody came and asked me, sir, but humko kaise pata ye to log phone karte hain? So I said, something has to be controlled, right? So the BPO industry uses something called as dialers. हाथ से बैठ के तो डायल नहीं करेंगे ना 5 लाख आदमी को. So they are using dialers, automated systems to call up people. Which means what? What do you look at? You try and figure out if these dialers are configured to do it right. Are they calling up somebody at 8 o'clock? That means you have a huge fine sitting on. So now we started to roll out emails to people saying that, look, we can do this kind of work for you to ensure that your controls are set. Everybody called us. Oh, you know what? We had also got an email from ENY, KPMG, some senior partner had come from US about, BPO controls. Oh, you guys are already doing it. Fantastic. You get 1, you get 2, you get 3, you get 4. We were working for 20 BPO companies. Understood it, finished, done. A lot of other people were doing it. Then you have to leave it back. Always remember, whatever you do early, eventually you have to let it go. It's not going to stick to you, right? So that took us to the next round of our journey. We said, okay, now what? After 2 years, right? We said, oh, let's try and do something in telecommunication. And this is really how we kind of started to build up verticals. We said telecommunication. Who's doing work in telecom? Again, chari naam aate hain pure world mein. But now we got some new names. We got TUV, we got Rights. These are large companies because, telecommunication is a very, very complex area. We had not done anything in telecommunication. Again, a game-changing event for us. We went in and said, okay, how do we really work in telecommunications? Same thing, you can do this, you can do audit, you can do internal audit, which is good. Is any telecommunication company which is at 80,000 crore ka turnover going to give you internal audit? No, it will never give it to you. It will give it to you some large companies like investments from foreign, etc. We're not even getting that. There's no chance. Why even spend time and energy trying to go and put a profile and say, bhai, mujhe koi Bombay Circle ka branch audit de do? Waste of time. We thought so. So we said, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We again started to do some research. By that time, we had put up a small office in London to try and understand what to do. We learned that Europe has a rule which is metering and billing standards for telecommunication industry. Why? Because they should not be charging you more. And at that point in time, when telecommunication just started, what calls do you make? When do you make? Are you charged for 2 minutes, 1 minute? What discounts do you have? रात को अगर बात कर रहे हो तो it's a 50% discount. आजकल ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. 10 साल पहले it was too complex. तो billing system ही set करना बहुत difficult है. How do you even know whether you're getting the right bill? So we understood there is something called as metering and billing standards in the world. We learned it. Now comes, I've shared it in the couple of forums. Now comes the fun of trying to tell somebody to do this. भाई हमारी तो इतनी सी firm है, though we are now 150 people already, but we are still this small, right? So what would a KPMG EY do? What would they do? Or a large company for that matter, not necessarily these four. Anybody who wants to do this has to be able to push directives. And where do they come from? Regulators, right? And believe me, sometimes we worry about regulators. Regulators in this country and my experience of all regulators across the world, they are very open most of the time. You write a nice email to them, they are very, very open. They are open to listen to you. They are open to understand. They may give you time, aage piche, whatever, but they're very open. They don't just throw out an email. Please understand, if you're sending out an email to the governor, that email goes to his desk. It cannot be just trashed. So we started to write, saying that, look, we have learned something like this, and there's nothing like this in India. There's nothing like this in this country. So we got a first email saying that, okay, what do you guys, which company are you working for? Airtel, or there was BPL at that point in time. So we said, no, we are not working for any company. So now that they took a back foot, the telecom regulator took a back foot कि यार आप लोग telecom करने के लिए काम नहीं कर रहे हो, आप हमको ज्ञान दे रहे हो, ठीक है, मिलते हैं. So they took their time. 6 months later, they met us. They said, okay, again, luck should have it. There are deputy governors, and there are advisors. There are 8 or 9 advisors. He invited all the 8 or 9 advisors on that day. He said, Mr. Bhandari has been following me up for 6 months. So let's hear him what he has to say. We were lucky again. We made a presentation that this country requires a metering and billing standard. And what does the standard mean? It means right from capturing to what is happening on your BTS, on your tower, whether the clocks are getting synchronized, what is happening in MSCs. Again, we did very hard work in trying to understand all of that and took it to them. They were supposed to give us 20 minutes, they gave us 2 hours. They said, this is our bloody problem. Why? Every time we have to go to Lok Sabha and defend what are the bills coming through, and we have no idea what is happening. Zyada charge kar rahe, kam charge kar rahe. And our standard said that you cannot charge more than 0.004%. 0.004%. They said, what can you help us with? Now comes thought leadership, right? We started to write standards for them. That standards you just kind of give it to a regulator. That's a thought leadership paper. That gets converted into a consultation paper. That gets converted into an industry standard. And eventually, this country had a metering and billing standard. Now, when a standard comes, you have done a hard work for them. They want to put up a panel. They cannot give all the work to you, right? Who are the usual suspects in the panel? All of these are the usual suspects. Or you have large Indian firms who also do a lot of government work. So they are also usual suspects. But because you have spent so much time in writing the standards, you understand that subject very well, you eventually become a leader automatically. So, one company gave us, second gave us, third gave us. We did 8 companies in the first year out of 11. We would have re-rated 1 billion CDRs. Can you do it in Excel sheet? You can't do it in Excel sheet. So we spent literally 5 crore rupees in developing a tool and technology to be able to re-rate the CDRs to come back and say, are you getting overcharged or getting undercharged? And we did that for 2 years. All 11 companies in this country. By the time we finished with the 11, we understood this entire business of telecommunication very well. So look, there have been several times that we have replicated this process. This is also an art of making sure that you try and replicate your successes because you're able to connect to your successes. So you have to kind of create a factory pattern to it. What does a factory pattern mean? Try and pick up a new area, try and put maybe similar, more or less, and try and replicate it. And you start replicating it to other industries. So We landed having 250, 300 people in our telecommunication vertical, right? And that's how you eventually, grow. You eventually look at new areas. Now, telecommunication is fairly complex. Of course, you need to hire engineers. But by now, you get the ability as an organization to hire people. And then why India? Then you start offering the same services internationally. And believe me, the advantage that we have in this country now in the last 10 years. Anybody? Generally, you import people in consulting from outside, correct? You will only go to Europe or you will only go to US. Best engineers are India. What has changed in this country that you can actually now become exporters and not importers of consulting services? Anybody? Hmm? Literacy, self-belief. What has changed in this country is this country already had ours obviously a billion people, which we thought was our weakness, is our solid strength. Second, the age profile of our guys here, our entire population is less than 30, significant number, which means the consumption is really high, which means our telecommunication companies had 700 million customers, and the best in the best of the companies abroad would not have even more than 100 million, 50 million, 60 million, 100 is like a struggle for them. You go to any European company, right? Any European country, smaller country, large telecommunication company. Large means what? 40 million. You have 700. Can you imagine the scale that you have in this country? It significantly overshadowed everybody else in the world, which is replicable and replicated by NPCI in terms of the transactions and the volumes that they do on a daily basis. If you are able to understand this, and if you are able to put controls around this, or if you're able to do consulting around this, and if you're able to improvise these processes, all the other stuff that you do abroad is actually kid stuff. मोटा मोटा. Because you can't even, इतना data है that you struggle with the data here. Billions of transactions happening, billions don't happen there. Even today. Now that has fundamentally changed. So you use this to your benefit, and when you go abroad and you make a presentation to an Optus or a Singtel in Singapore, Singtel is a huge company, invested so much money. But उनका जो client base है, that is not like a 700 million का client base. Now, Singapore ही है ना. It cannot become larger than Singapore, right? You go to AT&T, for example, today. It doesn't matter. You can now go and stand anywhere in the world because you've done 700 million people multiplied by 10 companies. Every company has 300, 400, 500 million customers here, right? So this is also in your banking industry. This is also in your payment industry. This is also in your retail industry now. This is also in your anything that you want to do in life. So you need to understand the importance of these elements which are coming up in your business processes today to be able to evolve something. And that now made us supersonic in trying to do anything around digital. Once you understand airwaves, communication, you really understand, and you're able to do a fantastic job. So, and then of course you gradually move on to some finer aspects like digital world. How does a digital company like an Uber, Ola work, etc., etc. Also, you need to figure out, can you branch out when you're looking at controls to something more deeper, which is cybersecurity, for example, for us. So we again invested a lot of money to try and understand. We accidentally started cybersecurity. We always wanted to improvise our consulting business. You have to, like I said, every 2 years, you have to destroy something and build it up again, right? How do you build it up again? By finding how can I do it faster, better, because somebody else will beat you to it, right? So we said, okay, let's try and see if we can beat this. How do you beat this? By creating some piece of technology to be able to beat it. Otherwise, you cannot re-rate 1 billion CDRs. You cannot look at technology controls. You cannot look at security controls. You can manually look at 50 servers. You cannot look at 5,000 servers. Banks today have like 60,000 devices, 80,000 devices, 90,000 devices. Can you do that? You cannot do that. So we started to say, oh, chalo, let's try and see if we can write a code because we understood it fundamentally. And that's the time that you hire a lot of people to try and understand the code. That actually made us deep dive into the, the cybersecurity, where now we are getting deeper into the chip and trying to understand how does this machine work and how does this code really work. But we have two advantages. We understand the business very well. We understand the data very well, which all of us here, chartered accountants, understand it. And finally, because you have done the hard work of working in the trenches, rolling up your sleeves and working means working in the trenches, you understand technology very well. And you don't need to understand how to write a code because you have people who can write code for you. This helped us to innovate a couple of products that we have innovated today, which I mentored, which runs 250 banks in the world. Some of them are the largest in the world, which runs large rail companies in the world, which runs the largest stock exchanges in the world, which runs army, navy, defenses in the world, which runs some of the largest data centers in the world. So the technology that we've evolved is to control accesses, privileges to super users who are able to do anything that they want to do on a machine. The super user of this machine can do anything that they want to do on this machine, right? You're a normal user and you have super users. So we figured out that there is a huge gap when you look at super user accounts, administrator accounts. So we kind of thought through something, improvised it, and today that happens to be one of the best in the world and competes with the Israelis and the Americans at the literally the neck level, neck to neck, nothing less, nothing more. And of course, as you keep putting your time and trying to keep innovating it, you also, of course, learn a lot from that journey, and you hire the best of the minds, and you try to get them on board. Eventually, things start falling into place. So I think that was literally our journey from a, should I say, a systems auditing firm to a risk advisory firm to a reasonably large global risk advisory firm, and eventually to a hardcore product company which innovates cybersecurity, which incidentally some of the best analysts in the world um, say that we are visionaries. We have been placed in the quadrants, which are leadership quadrants and vision quadrants in something like a Gartner Magic Quadrant. Gartner is supposed to be the leading world consulting company, which does analysis of tools and products which come out. To be in a Gartner Magic Quadrant is possible only if you are a large, stable, work for large organizations, and you compete with the best in the world. So that journey has now transcended to something like one of the leaders in cybertech world to be able to go and do work for a large organizations. Again, I would want to say this at the cost of reputation is we believe that this journey was possible because we understood business very well, we understood data very well, we understood processes very well, and we were able to marry these to the technology rather than technology marrying to the processes. And we were able to understand that eventually, if you have to be cyber attacked, what do you want out of somebody? What do you want? You want data, right? Initially, it used to be money, which still continues to be the motive. But finally, what do you want today? You want data. And look at the world trying to come out with Data Protection Act now, privacy laws, etc. So these are likely to become very, very interesting across the world. So I think I'll take a pause here. This has been literally our journey from the trenches to what we're doing today. And we are still learning on a daily basis, so much so that our company is now across the world and it's people neutral, country neutral, with employees coming from very different fields. Some could be even art directors, some could be UX experts and color experts, some could be how to look at specially abled people because they also want to use computers. Some could be documentation standards. Some could be coders, of course. Some could be functional champions. Some could be quantum specialists because you need to break encryptions. You need to do good encryptions. And it's endless. Now, that is fun to work with. And on a daily basis, you're literally charged up because every day is a new day for you when you get into this market or any market for that matter. So I'll take a pause here. Any questions so far anybody has? Happy to, yes.
Sir, you said that you hired the chartered accountants very initially. So how did you manage the members, like what are the same type of knowledge you have, the differences, and how you used to command them? Like, I mean, not actually command, but that they have the
See,
same knowledge, they have an
it's
insecurity of getting the data.
one of the aspects of entrepreneurship. I don't even want to go to leadership. One of the aspects of a good entrepreneur is the ability to convince somebody, right? A, to buy your product, to buy your services, is also a critical ability for you to convince the people to join you as team leads. And I've got a lot of stories there, by the way. We've hired senior employees, very difficult to hire. Why would somebody want to join a like a fresh company, right? And why would people from good colleges who can get good salaries, etc.,
How to retain them?
and how to retain them? The first is I have seen people trying to negotiate salaries to say that यार मैं startup हूँ मैं कम पैसा दूंगा तुमको. That literally doesn't work in today's world. अगर आपको कोई एम्प्लॉय ले आप पार्टनर ले रहे हो आप उसको कम पैसा दे सकते हो बट आप एम्प्लॉय ले रहे हो आप उसको कम पैसा नहीं दे सकते देयर इज नो नो आपको उसको उतना ही पैसा देना है बट आपके कंपनी में काम करने को कन्विंस करना है बिकॉज ही इज गॉट बेटर अपॉर्चुनिटीज टू वर्क फॉर द सेम मनी इन लार्जर कंपनीज सो दैट कैन नॉट बी कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड व्हिच मींस यू हैव टू मेक लेस you have to make less. And I see this in a lot of discussions that I have with chartered accountants who are even partners today. How do I even share the proceeds or the profits with, not profits, but the final surplus, to use the right word, surplus with the partners, right? And we have this question even too. You know, you have a managing partner, you have a young kid who's come up and become a partner. But that guy is working 24 by 7, has the ability to get work hard, get clients maybe. Somebody is very good in marketing, and somebody is a very senior partner who's able to think through and do the right job. So now, how do you really differentiate of who should be making what kind of money, right? It's a very flat world, very flat world. The managing partner's thought process should be how do I make 2% of 100 crores rather than 2% of 1 crore. I mean, what I'm saying in percentage means a small amount of money, but for a larger portfolio, right? And and if that is the thought process, then you'll end up paying well and you'll end up paying good to somebody who comes and joins you. So I had this very interesting question. I had 4 partners come up to me when I was Central Council member any Saturday, generally saying that, Anil, you've scaled up. Can you help us to kind of devise this? So I said, fair. So 4 partners have come in and, so he said that, look, we are not able to come to a conclusion of what is the percentage to be paid to partner A. So I said, what is his role in the company? So partner A's role was only marketing. All right. So I said, what is the problem? So he said, look, I'm the one who's actually doing 24/7. मुझे काम करना पड़ता है बॉस उसकी बैलेंस शीट मैं बना रहा हूँ लेजर अकाउंट मैं बना रहा हूँ इवेंचुअली फाइनलाइजेशन मैं कर रहा हूँ वो तो खाली काम लाके दे रहा है now getting work is also a critical skill, right? Can anybody get work? No, it's a critical skill. So we had all of these conversations. I said, okay, what's your goal, guys? So forget about sharing. What's your goal? Why are you coming together? Well, we are coming together because we want to create a large accounting firm, like the Big Four, etc., etc. So I said, what does that goal look like to you in terms of money, for example? Oh, it looks like India is going through a great transition. We could do a 50 crore practice, 100 crore practice. So I said, you could do. You have not done. You're at 5. You want to do 100. It's a long gap. And you're trying to negotiate what? You're trying to negotiate pennies here, right? So they kind of realized. I said, "Bhai, you want to start today? Start 50-50. Now, does it matter? One guy will end up doing more. One guy may end up doing less. It's like 2 brothers, right? Somebody may end up doing a little less. Somebody may end up doing more. Somebody's a little sharper. Somebody can keep relationships for you. Somebody is able to convince an employee, "Bhai, please, Raja, my firm mein, the senior guy is not able to do it, or maybe the junior guy is maybe a little rough." We are different set of people, like fingers, right? So how do you do that? There is no right or wrong answer to that. So only right answer to that is everybody has an opportunity. The goal is the right answer. So I would have spent 10 years not taking money home. Because luckily in India, you have mothers and fathers, you stay at their houses and you don't need money here. Now that's a capital investment for you, right? How do you create valuations of large organizations? Today, I have no idea. I was the chairman of the valuation standards board. I was trying to tell you towards the end of this discussion, everything would change. Like for example, companies are valued at $100 billion, $200 billion, whatever. They first burn money, $5 billion, $10 billion, and they seed it for 10 years, and then they become $100 billion. It's the same thing for you also, right? As a practice or as an entrepreneur. So our goal or my goal and ambition was to create a firm which a larger stake, which has people, which has various verticals. That's what you've seen, right? You're comparing yourself to some people, right? And if you want to do that, you cannot do that without people. Can you carry all the heavy lifting and do everything that I spoke to you about? No, no. Every person that I have in my office has contributed to this amazing growth that we have. Right? So you need to make sure that you pay your employees or your partners, and you need to have the ability to take a sacrifice ahead for a larger goal. 80% of the time it will work. Some 20% of the time it may not work also. That's fine. You move on to the next step. It's like entrepreneurship. Factory चलाया आपने नहीं चलाया. But please at least उसको वो bucket में तो डालो पहले. Let's put it in the bucket where you need to invest and do it. So historically, chartered accountants have been investing where? Historically, senior chartered accountants who are doing good practice, there are a lot of people who are doing fantastic practice. Where have they been investing and making money from? Huh?
Land and stock.
Perfect. Land and stock market. चलो प्रोफेशन से आज 50 लाख रुपया कमाया. Where does it go? First it goes into equity or land. 50 लाख में से कभी उन्होंने सोचा कि ये 50 लाख के आज भी ले लेता हूं यार. That is the change. अगर आपने 50 लाख के 5 आदमी ले लिए 10-10 लाख रुपए सैलरी के, तो वो खाली तो नहीं बैठेंगे ना. और अगर खाली बैठेंगे तो then you're on fire to go and get something, right? It's a chicken and egg story. So bottom line is investment. There is no other way to come out of it. Anybody else?
You entered into many new areas, which were first time for you.
Yeah.
Then how did you decide your value or what?
So if you look at the journey, we have literally not ventured into a new area, but what we have done is either we have done a shift left or shift right, in the sense that our core expertise today is the same, which is risk. How do I manage risk and how do I manage controls? That is the core expertise that we have. The only difference is that we would have gone either deeper or we would have gone towards governance. So we have not started you would have not heard me to say that I started a tax department. We don't have a tax department. You would have not heard that I started a GST department because we don't have a GST department. Not that it's a bad practice or whatever, but we don't have that. I would have created a GST department if I would have found somebody who captured the fundamental understanding of GST 5 years before GST would have come out. That is the time you'll end up making money. Now you don't make money. Now you do reconciliation, which everybody does. It's a volume business. So it's towards the end, everything becomes a volume business. I'll give you another example. This telecommunication audit that we did, over a period of time in this country, there are a lot of people, the supply is more, so there are a lot of firms. So suddenly people saw, hey boss, ye AMD kaun hai yaar? No, literally, who's this AMD? One of the large government companies actually complained that there is one company in this country which is doing 1 billion CDRs, literally re-rating the CDRs for the entire country. Can they even deliver? Why? Because somebody would have sent चिट्ठी ना. इंडिया में क्या सब जगह पैसे ही है. एक आदमी को काम नहीं मिला, उसे चिट्ठी भेज दिया बॉस. AMD 5 कैसे कर रहा है, 7 कैसे कर रहा है, उसको लिमिट करना चाहिए, whatever. तो पहले तो चिट्ठी भेज दिया. So the regulator actually called, and I was envisaging it. You have to envisage it. Why? Because when I go for meeting, everybody's looking at me only. They're not looking at KPMG, GNYs or Deloitte or TUVs or RITES. They are all looking at me. हाँ बताओ भाई कितना ऑडिट हुआ है, like a regulator. तो कोई तो कर ही नहीं रहा है, हम ही कर रहे थे, बाकी सब लेट मिला, उनको 1 मिला 2 मिला, हम 8 कर रहे थे, तो हमको देखेंगे सब लोग. So you have to realize the audit risk, right? And you have to come out of that meeting. That meeting I came out and I said, boss, we'll get killed. Why will we get killed? Not because we are doing a bad job. We will generally get killed, right? Because the 9 others will kill you. So we went out and we said we need to finish one very quickly, demonstrate it, prove it that we are very good, save the money for this country, and show it to the telecom regulator. We did that very quickly. We finished one, put entire energy, and we told them we want to make a presentation. We've saved you 500 crores for the consumers just in 1 year order. They looked at it. Finally, they looked at everything. We said, "Is this right? Is this what you want? Are you happy with this?" They were very happy. They said, "Yeah, yeah, fantastic." Now I said, "We are relaxed." Now anybody coming and complaining, boss, don't worry. We've understood what they've done. But still, you have to envisage that after 2 or 3 years, if that market is lucrative in the sense that people want to do that and there is margin, you will have 20 more firms come up. हमारे यहाँ पे कंट्री में तो बहुत बड़ी बड़ी फॉर्म्स हैं सब सेंट्रल काउंसिल मेंबर्स हैं ये है वो है एवरीबडी नोज व्हाट इज रनिंग एंड नॉट रनिंग एवरीबडी गोस टू द चेयरमैन एवरीबडी हैज गॉट पहचान राइट सो आई टोल्ड माय पार्टनर दैट बॉस लेट्स स्टॉप डूइंग दिस ही सेड आर यू क्रेजी आई सेड बॉस रेगुलेटरी ऑडिट बंद कर दो बस तो वो 2.5 साल किया हमने 3 साल किया हमने इसको लिटरली जीरो पे लेके आया अच्छा चलो ठीक है मतलब इन ऑर्डर टू बी इन टच लेट्स कीप वन लेट्स नॉट डू एनीथिंग एल्स because we were good, the telecom companies started to come to us that we believe that you're not doing, why don't you do work with us? So we became internal auditors for 7 companies out of 11 at one point. We were the largest internal auditors in the telecommunication world. So a lot of stories like this. Then after the internal audit, I came back and told these guys, now this is something that my guys didn't listen to me. We had 250 people in telecommunication. I said, boss, ये 11 कंपनी है तुम लोग हो बट कल को अगर कुछ होता है और हमको नहीं होगा तो क्या करेंगे You have to pay salaries to 250 people, right? Because we were hearing the noises across the world that the world will go through a consolidation in a lot of across and India also. And he said, "नहीं ये अच्छा चल रहा है तो हमको भी क्यों?" I said, "Please start going out. Please start going out. Please start pick up your bag, go out. Pick up your bag, go out. Why? Because today we have strength. When the numbers are less, we will not have strength." We did a little bit in the sense, they had only 50% heart in that. Had they had 100% heart in that, we would have been like all across from US to Australia. We had 50% heart in that. He said, "अच्छा चल रहा है ना रोज का." See, what happens is everybody, all of us, actually spend 80-90% of the time in what you're doing on a daily basis, right? You cannot come out of it unless you move out and give it to somebody else. But कोई करने को तैयार नहीं होता बस. बोला नहीं अच्छा चल रहा है ना. What happened? What happened? What changed? What changed? There are only 3 companies. There are only 3 companies out of 11. We used to work for 9. Only 3 companies. Now we need to scale down. But fortunately, because they've done 50% of the work, we could go and deploy our resources, do something interesting internationally, etc. Right? Otherwise, you would have to scale down. So, see, when you're running large or whatever, small, whatever, you need to be constantly on top of your journey to figure out how do you de-risk yourself? How do we look at some other aspects, etc. There's again no right or wrong answer to that, but one focus should be on trying to understand what's likely to come. That is for anybody at any age. What is likely to come? What is likely to come? What is likely to come? There are a lot of people who got GST very early in time, very early, where government also did not know what is right or wrong, and they did only consulting. And the outcome of the consulting report used to look like this. If the government comes out with this regulations, this will be your impact. If the government comes out with this regulation, this will be impact. There was no right or wrong, just an assessment. And people made huge amount. So, but early in time. So similarly, how do you look at the future in terms of what is likely to come in the near future? Also becomes very important for you to look at if you want to anything around practice. So, having heard me for almost 1.5 hours now, or little less than that, what comes to your mind if you were to replicate this in any new avenues which you are seeing? What is it that you're seeing as practicing chartered accountants, or how many of us are in practice? Most of us. And what are you seeing now? What is it that is likely to come up? Oh, it's going to destroy us. I mean, not destroy us, but what I'm trying to say is that I thought it was a fad a year back. And I thought, yes, AI because I do cybersecurity, though it was too much of noise. The noise becomes right only if the data and the tagging of the data is correct. See, AI cannot just work out of anywhere. But recently, last 6 months, we started to apply AI ML concepts to what we want to do. Right? And so many things in the office have become, so I'm not saying they are throwing out people, but same बंदे की जो skill नहीं थी वो enhance हो जाती है बहुत बार, right? And it happens very quickly, which means now I don't need a person of that caliber because that extra 20% is added by AI. Let us take a very small example. Every email that everybody writes today, at least in my office, is AI injected, which means I would have never heard of those words, but my guys are able to write those words. Every time in the month of April, when there is a revision of the salary, I used to get an email, sir, मैं बहुत काम कर रहा हूँ, रात को लेट बैठ के काम करता हूँ. Now the terminologies are, I'm adding tremendous value to this organization. मतलब everything is so fundamentally changed, and you love to read it, and you also understand कि भाई ये AI ने लिखा है because you know that first. So that's the smallest example that I want to give. I'll give you an example of. I also have written a lot of standards, and standard writing is very interesting, but it requires a lot of deep research. This that you have to spend time. So I was just looking at something. I wanted to create what can go wrong scenario. So what do? You call some people in the office, chartered accountants, MBAs. Yeah, create what can go wrong scenarios. For them also, it is difficult to envisage a lot of what can go wrong scenarios for a business process. So what I did, I just went to one of the AI tools and I wrote the 10 business steps because I understand that. उनको भी वही देता था मैं. So if you would have come, I would have said, yeah, ये 10 business steps है, please come back to me. I give it to an AI. In 5 minutes, it gave me 200 what can go wrong scenarios. Okay, मेरा काम खत्म. I wanted to, we're innovating something and I wanted to give it to somebody. So in 5 minutes, I could finish that. So what I'm saying, now I did not need somebody with that expertise. कि उसको 20 साल का experience होगा तो चलेगा. So what I'm trying to say is that the entire AIML would transform literally 20 to 30% of what you do in your daily lives, right? What you deliver in your office is literally speed. We are using to do code creations, which has become simpler. So I think if you look at it from an agentic AI perspective, I would have probably 1,000 use cases just in what we are trying to do, literally. And you see all of this attack defense which happened. It's an amazing world. When I was a chairman in WRC, I used to go and tell people that you'll probably not see banks tomorrow. You'll probably not see telecommunication companies tomorrow. Why? Because the bank has become an infrastructure company. They have a license. But all the products that the bank used to run are run by payment companies, different companies. Those make money. Those are fee income based. I used to tell people you will not see telecommunication companies tomorrow. Why? Because telecommunication companies are becoming content companies, right? They're all becoming content companies. Similarly, I used to go and tell people that probably you'll not see fighter pilots tomorrow, right? And 5 or 6 years, 2015, I was a chairman of WRC. I used to speak about it. People used to smile, appreciate, whatever. But always with a smirk to say that, ठीक है यार, आएगा 50 साल के बाद, But it's there. You see it on a daily basis. The warfare has completely changed. You are able to triangulate it better. Why? Because you're able to ingest so much data and you have so much power in today's computers that you are able to triangulate it much better. You're able to position it much better. So I don't know, we could take maybe 6 hours trying to talk about small to a large use case from a bank to a telecom to a trader, and you can keep talking about it. The AIML tool is here to stay. It's going to make your life a little tougher. I used to also say in my lectures that in the next 10 years, you will see more and more less and less jobs, right? Because the skills of the people today do not marry with the skills of the people tomorrow. What does that mean? What does that mean? Now you were good at what you were doing. Now, because of the advent of the AI tool, you have to be good at asking the tool to produce what you want it to produce. The context is very different. You will write this question, the AI will produce you something. He will write something, the AI will produce something. Which means if you want to do it better, sharper for your people, your core understanding still has to be good. Right question and contextualizing it right, and you will get the right answer. So if I want to create for example, a code, if I do not have the ability to tell an AI exactly where, how, when, what function do I want, now, what's the era that we are in? We are used to padke exam dene ko, right? We study, rat ke, and then we give our exams. Then came an era of tick marks. But when you go to open book, the open book is something which is even more difficult. Anybody who's become a chartered accountant recently? No, you are. So I don't know, but the open book is actually more difficult than taking the normal exams. Why? Because now the questions are asking you about strategy, this, that. So you go to page number 30. If fundamentally you don't know where to look at, you've already lost it, which means it is a little more taxing on your mind. That is what the AI world is going to create out of it. It's not going to leave you alone and say, कि चलो अभी मैंने बटन दबा दिया तो सब हो गया. It's going to tax your mind a little more. You have to be fundamentally, you have to understand it fundamentally, ask the right questions to be able to get the right outcomes out of it. Otherwise, you're playing with fire because you're doing something and it doesn't know what it is coming. I was in Surat, I was running a session on AI to check how do you do research on equities and at what rate is Reliance Industries likely to open on Monday or Tuesday, for example. We had a very interesting chat. So, how would you normally start? How would you normally start? If I want to ask you at what price would Reliance open up on Monday, or maybe say not Monday, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, just for the sake of it, how would you start? People would probably go and say that, okay, at what price? It will still give you an answer. It'll still give you an answer. Now that is fundamentally right or wrong, you don't know, right? So I started by asking that, can I do a DCF valuation for Reliance Industries? Again, will you get a right answer? Maybe not. But I said, okay, please get the financials and do that. Kar diya usne. Then came back to assumption. But when it came back to the assumptions, Reliance is in 5 different pillars of business. So it is assuming that it will grow at 5% or 7%. 7% का valuation करेगा तो 300 रुपए का DCF valuation है, 1200 रुपए का stock, say for example, right? So that doesn't work. So Reliance has started to invest where? In telecommunications. So I said, okay. I said, let us go and compare Reliance businesses with world businesses first. Literally, if you use the same steps, probably you'll get the same answer. So it compared it, petrochemicals, oil and gas, telecommunication. The comparison was against ExxonMobil, the comparison against AWS certainly. It was not against other companies. Their growth of oil and business were maybe at 5% or 7%. So of course, 5%, 7% grow, na? Unless it goes and acquires it. So the AI said that the Reliance is likely to be a regional player in oil and gas. It cannot be a global player. I mean, may have the ambitions, but that's a $400 billion company. So you have to acquire them. So it has to invest more in upcoming businesses. So which is the upcoming businesses it should do? India's got a lot of people. India's got retail, telecommunication, retail. That's what Reliance is doing. So I said, my friend, then why are you making them grow at 7%? Ideally, they should be going at 15%, 20%. Absolutely right, sir. But the AI responds to you. And you kind of dissect it. And then you come to a number, which now you understand what is the logic. And that's what the company is also doing. That is why they are valued at 1,200 rupees or whatever, right? So yes, I think AI is going to make a tremendous difference. I think, we were in an era. See, the past is completely different. You need to literally forget about it. We were in an era where there was an era of a compulsive use of technology. Like I've said this in one of my sessions before, that you were forced to use computers. 15 years back, maybe just 15 or 18 years back. PSU banks were forced to use computers, compulsive use of it. You were forced to learn computers. Computer ka class hota tha. Nobody wanted to go there. Today, you are in an era where you are in an obsessive use of technology era, which means you get up in the morning and you want to look at WhatsApp. I don't know what you look at. I get up in the morning and I'm looking at my teams. कि कुछ escalation तो नहीं है, कुछ WhatsApp तो नहीं है. So you are in an obsessive use of technology era. You are now likely to get into an immersive use of technology, which means you're going to be immersive in technology. And I gave this example in one of our conferences here. You should go and look at Apple Pro, Vision Pro. Just try it. It's not come to India, but if you travel abroad, just look at it. It is immersive. You're sitting in the technology. You're just doing this, scanning, you're writing your emails, and there's a 70 television coming right in face of you. And you say, I want to be in Antarctica, and suddenly there's water flowing all around. It's beautiful. It's very different. Today you have come here, tomorrow you will just wear that AR, VR, and it is reality. It is like just about close to reality. And please make sure that if you're traveling anywhere where it is available, take 10 minutes, waste half an hour, go and look at it. You would love it. You would love it. That's immersive use of technology. What will it change? A lot of businesses. It'll change interior decoration for a minute. It'll entire change the जो आज interior decoration करते इतनी firms हैं. It'll change it in 5 minutes. Why? Why will it change it? When you're sitting with a Vision Pro, you've got the room charted out till the corner, and you say that I want a very, very intelligent, interesting design with modern touch. And you know what? I like gold a little. Trump, for example, likes gold, right? So you say, I like a little bit of gold touch. So in 5 minutes, it will have all of this ready for you. Then it will say, okay, do you want me to go and tell you where to buy it from? Literally, it will tell you the shops where to buy those from, and you drag and drop them. इट विल देखो ये रूम को बनाने के लिए आपके पास में खाली 10 ही वेरिएबल होगा ना, 10 या 15 ही डिजाइन कर सकते हो ना आप, उसके ज्यादा आप कर नहीं सकते, वेरिएबल इतना ही है. तो इट हैज कैलकुलेटेड ऑल द वेरिएबल्स, इट नोज दैट देयर इज अ पिलर के पीछे देयर इज समथिंग, व्हाट कैन आई डू टू हाइड दिस, वेयर कैन आई पुट गोल्ड, राइट? एंड इट हैज प्रॉब्ली गॉट इट, व्हिच मींस 80 to 90% of the job done in the world would be standard jobs. And you will now start getting paid more. So don't worry about it, because human mind is not going anywhere, but you will now start getting paid more for that 1 hour that you're getting paid today, because that 10% is really the touch that a human being was likely to get for you, which is very, very different. वो बोलते हैं ना, handmade soaps are more expensive than normal soaps. I don't know. So if you buy a Lux, it comes at 7 rupees, 8 rupees, 10 rupees, I don't know. But if you go and buy a handmade soap, it is expensive. That is the era that you're likely to get. But I think just about every piece of technology from a business perspective is likely to change. So my suggestion would always be that try and go a little deeper in what you're doing. If you're doing tax, you've understood very well. Try and shift left or try and shift right. Try and see if you can do it at scale, or try and see if you can add something which really creates value proposition for your customer. If not, get out of it. Get out of it. Now is the time to get out of it. Why is now time to get out of it? Because in the next 5 years, the economy is at a scale where you do anything, you are likely to be reasonably successful. You do anything, you're reasonably likely to be successful, right? So, अगर आज आपने हाथ मारा तो you will have buyers and takers. But जब maturity आ जाएगी, you go to US, it's very difficult to find a job. Very difficult to find internship. I have got so many kids calling me up for internship. So there is maturity there. You cannot just put your hand and try and get it. It's costing too much money to set up an entrepreneurship shop there. Of course, there are different avenues. You pick up venture capital, but in India today, you want to do something, you can literally go and do it, because there are takers for that. These small companies which come online, they sell dresses, etc. They have got 20 crores ka turnover there. I don't know if you realize this or not. I'm sure you would have so many clients who have started companies, 10, 20, 30 crores. It's become so simple. So if somebody wants to get out of something and build something now, I think now is the time to do it. Don't take more than 2 years to think about it. You should take that plunge and you should do it, because it's a fairly interesting journey to do. So, any more questions that you have? Otherwise, I wanted to speak a couple of things about upcoming things coming up and maybe probably wrap up. But anything that you came in this room with an expectation, right? So, you come here with some expectation. Everybody's come here with some expectation. So, anything that comes to your mind, I'm happy to kind of put my 2 cents on it and maybe respond. But everybody probably should have come, I would say, with something to say that, okay, I'm going there because I want to understand this. And what is that?
So we are looking like we are in the Bhagyoday Series, so we are looking for like what are the opportunities that we can get from the work that we are already done.
Sorry, I missed that. Just give me 1 minute. I'll just put this. I just put 2 or 3 notes so that I could. All right. Please, shoot.
So, this is a Bhagyoday series, so we are looking like what are the opportunities we have in the work which you are already in expert.
So look, this is a misnomer to, I mean, when you go to conferences where you're looking out for opportunities, it's a misnomer to come and say that there are 20 opportunities. I'm trying to tell you there are 100 opportunities. There are 100 means there are 5,000 opportunities. The question is, how do you find out an opportunity for yourself? That's the biggest question that one will have. I will probably, I go and say, I go and tell people that, you're a chartered accountant, you should become an entrepreneur. Practice karna hi nahi chahiye, for example. If I would see, there are different times. It's not okay. Let me probably take it back out. Different demand, right? So different era demands different skill sets. Today, for example, chartered accountants working in industry, for example, could be larger in number. Practice could be smaller in number. Why? Because it has its own challenges, set of things to do. Aspirations are larger, right? We want to do something larger. Everybody seems to be making more money than we feel that we are making, for example. I think I'm sure all of you would have clients who would have come to you with maybe 5 rupees in their pocket and said that boss, मुझे मेरे को builder बनना है. I'm sure if there would have been more senior chartered accountants here, they would have a lot of their clients would have come early in life, not having any money, wanted to become a builder, and some of them would have been one of the biggest builders today. Yeah? That would probably make you realize that I have guided this gentleman step one, step two, step three, step four, how to get loan, when to get it, how to create a balance sheet, but even when he didn't have equity in that balance sheet, right? What makes us not being able to do that? What makes us not do that? You are if I'm telling you, you put some senior chartered accountants in the room, 80% of them would have stories to come back and say that boss, this business house, literally, I have guided them on a daily basis. You literally catch their hand. एक TDS का पैसा भी काट के देना होता है तो they will call you, right? Zero idea. Sometimes you feel कि यार ये business कैसे कर रहा है, right? What is that we don't have that stops us from becoming a 100 crore builder or a 500 crore builder or maybe a manufacturing company or whatever? Risk taking ability, our ability to take risk. That's the only thing. You're a chartered accountant, so your risk taking ability goes down. If you're a BCom, hey, kya boss? So I keep telling young kids, if you want to become a millionaire, try and go to the best possible schools and colleges in the world. If you want to become Again, I'm dividing it into two pieces. So you have to be always be able to divide the problem statement into multiple pieces. That's more important. So if you're a technology auditor, your mind should be running, break लगाना है तो लगना चाहिए. Handle right होना है तो होना चाहिए. Which means if I am listening to some signals of 7 sensors, तो होना चाहिए. If you are a resilience person, which says business continuity should have, like for example, I came here, I had planned to only speak impromptu, but I said, chalo, I had some nice videos, I thought I'll show you, but it didn't work. Ideally, what should the team be doing here? A resilience team should have already tested it twice, should have already called up 5 times. Normally do that, right? If you understand that either the video is there, this is that. In technology, what is resilience? Every sensor should be working. What happens if one doesn't work? You have business there. So today, the business lines I'm trying to tell you is that, matlab, you have to imagine it to be able to generate a business, right? Cyber security में there are again two parameters. Finally, आपको अगर ransomware attack, it's called cyber resilience. चलो ransomware आ गया, कोई किसने आपको अटैक कर दिया, उसके बाद क्या? आपकी लाइफ तो खत्म नहीं होगी ना. You have to build up your business again. You have to come up. How much time do you take to come up is a business by itself, where you need two set of person, business guy and a technology guy working together. अगर आपको बैंक का होलसेल बैंकिंग रिटेल बैंकिंग सिस्टम को लेके आना है तो यू नीड टू सेट्स ऑफ पीपल, राइट? आपके पास में बैकअप है, आपके पास में राइट बैकअप है. आपने उसका रात का इंटरेस्ट रन किया था क्या कि नहीं किया था? नहीं तो क्या होगा, आपका कल का बैलेंस जाएगा, राइट? सो आई एम सेइंग एवरी बिजनेस यू हैव टू डिवाइड इट. लाइक आई स्पोक अबाउट कार्स, लाइक आई स्पोक अबाउट हॉस्पिटल्स, समथिंग विल गो रॉन्ग अराउंड इट, राइट? सो अगेन द शॉर्ट ऑफ द लॉन्ग स्टोरी इज that you will probably also not see, innovation means making things simple. Today you have accounting standards, auditing standards. Over a period of time, say for example, if you are as a chartered accountant asking me another opportunity, I'll say kill the accounting standard and the auditing standard. That's an opportunity. Would you believe it? Kill the accounting and auditing standard. Why do you need it now? Technology can do it. No? A lot of my colleagues laugh at me and we debate a lot. But let's take it step one. Step one is आपका accounting standard कोई 30 पेज का है. Capital transactions, forex transactions. What is innovation? और 10 साल में क्या होने वाला है? वो simple होने वाला है. It's going to become simpler. It will become 5 पेज का. उसके बाद क्या होने वाला है? There will be a day when you will not have it. Why? Because it becomes way of life. So if you ask me today, I think that's a great opportunity. You kill it today. You come out with a nice platform tomorrow. You have killed it. For all chartered accountants in the world, that is $100 billion opportunity. It's not like a 1 crore ka 5 crore ka opportunity. That's $100 billion opportunity. You know what is the value of Intune, which is a accounting software company? क्या valuation है उसका पता है आपको? हाँ? QuickBooks. उसका valuation क्या आपको पता है? Just do a Google. Accounting solution है, debit credit करता है. You don't even find it in big companies. उसका valuation कितना है? और अब दूसरा एक और कोई देखना टाटा ग्रुप का valuation कितना है? Just look at what is the Tata Group valuation and what is Intuit का valuation. देखो ना, मेरे को आज का नहीं पता, देख लो. Anybody with the Intuit valuation? 190 billion. 190 billion. Look at dollars. Look at Tata Group का valuation. फुल ग्रुप का, एक कंपनी का नहीं बोल रहा हूं. $400 billion. आप अगर 1-2 साल पहले देखते थे ना, Intuit was at 167 and the Tata Group, the entire Tata Group was also at 167. 2 साल पहले. If you just go behind 2 years, you would be surprised. Because of whatever the markets have gone up in India, it's become like 400. I mean, if you would have just looked at it 2.5 years back, you would be surprised. I was thinking that you would be surprised even today, but chalo, ठीक है, नसीब है हमारा, 400 billion तो है. अकाउंटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर का, खाली अकाउंटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर का, जो आपको बड़ी कंपनी में दिखता नहीं है. कोई बैंक में दिखा है आपको? कोई भी आपका बड़ा कंपनी है, $5 बिलियन, $10 बिलियन का दिखा आपको? नहीं दिखा. इंडिया में भी वाह, $200 बिलियन की कंपनी है, इंडिया में धंधा ही नहीं करती है वो. It doesn't matter to them. India is just peanuts. So you are trying to ask me opportunity. What I'm trying to tell you is, it is sitting right behind you, or either on the left or on the right, right? But our ability should be to think through it, literally think through it. So if I were to just tell you that please go and create an algorithm, or please go and create a nice platform along with any of your techie friends or whatever, or with a couple of your business friends or whatever, and try and kill standard. Try and kill it. आपको IFRS देखना है, विजुअलाइजेशन. आपको US गैप देखना है, विजुअलाइजेशन. आपको इंडियन गैप देखना है, विजुअलाइजेशन. What do you mean by visualization? आपको एक फॉर्मेट में देखना है. क्यों? क्योंकि IFRS वाले लोग ने बोला कि ये फॉर्मेट अच्छा लगता है हमको. Whatever, कोई स्टैंडर्ड है उसका. US गैप वाले बोलते हैं हमको ये फॉर्मेट अच्छा लगता है, हमको ये ट्रांजैक्शन ऐसे करना है. इंडिया वाले बोलते हैं हम कंजर्वेटिव, हमको ये फॉर्मेट अच्छा लगता है. मतलब try and put it in this. That's visualization. And the below engine is a debit credit engine, simple debit credit engine. So you have to, again, I'm trying to break up an ERP system. What am I trying to do? No, not only an ERP system. I'm trying to break up your balance sheet. Balance sheet बनती किधर से? उसमें आप देखते क्या हो? उसमें आप देखते हो कि ये स्टैंडर्ड फॉलो किया है क्या? आप ऑडिट क्या करते हो? स्टैंडर्ड फॉलो किया है क्या? राइट? क्या करने की जरूरत है? So I'm very sure in the next 4 or 5 years or 10 years, these standards would go away first. Because the technology will be able to do it. So which should be making you think what? First is who will be the first one to do it? He'll be $100 billion worth. Second is all those who are doing this audit should be running away from it. If you have 50 more years to live, some people like us may not have 50 years to live now, and we don't have to worry about it. You should be running away from it now. And if you really are an entrepreneur, you should be killing it. So there is an opportunity in every small element. Opportunity comes in very small pieces. Innovation happens in very small use cases. The only thing that you have to realize is, can I apply it to entire India, and can I apply it to entire world? That's all. Very small piece. Very small piece. So I don't know about you, but most of the time when I go to speak, the expectation of the people is to tell them कि US से outsourcing बहुत हो रहा है. So you can run a KPO BPO outsourcing shop. क्यों करना है यार? It's only an arbitrage ना. आपका यहाँ पे ₹8 का कॉस्ट है, वो ₹10 दे रहा है आपको, $10 दे रहा है. That's a labor arbitrage. So I think a lot of people told Mr. Piyush Goyal, Honorable Minister, when he said that we are creating the Zomatos of the world, which is good. But we are actually not creating quantum computers, which is a fact, no? China created telecommunication equipment. They created and they wrote the code in C. We are writing the code in Java. We cut and paste, and we are making inventory software बना रहे हैं world की. ठीक है. Again, there was an era. There was a time. We did services export. We did fantastic. What is the time now? It's very different. So again, just to answer your question, I think I'm trying to highlight the way you approach an opportunity rather than telling you. I can tell you 5,000 opportunities. How is it going to help you? It's not going to help you. I tell you systems audit में बहुत opportunity. Cyber security में बहुत opportunity. You should look at that. Insurance में opportunity. You should look at that. How does it have any meaning? It doesn't have any meaning. I'm saying in anything and everything that you do, there is an opportunity. The rule of the game is break it into small pieces. The second rule of the game is try and play to your strength. What's your strength in that? Just because I can make a spacecraft and there's an opportunity, I'll not be able to do that, right? I think there's a fantastic opportunity to create space assets. I may not be able to do that. So, what is your strength? Play to your strength. And the third is think completely global. I mean, your thought process should be very, very large. Your thought process should not be कि 4 client मिलेंगे या 5 client मिलेंगे. Your thought process should be is this rule applicable to most of the people in the world? If that answer is yes, you have $100 billion. If that answer is no, but at least my entire country, you're still sitting at $10 billion. So please keep breaking it. Otherwise, if you ask me, is there a practice opportunity in systems and controls? Yes. But now it no longer are the days कि आपने DISA कर लिया, CISA कर लिया तो आप systems audit करोगे. You need engineers working for you. If you ask me, is there an opportunity to do cyber tech? I will tell you yes, because you understand business very well, especially in DPDP Act, because privacy is likely to become a $50 billion business. Anything that you do in privacy is likely to become a great business. So please try and see if you can do any work around privacy. If you ask me GST, I will tell you probably it's becoming more of a reconciliation. So you'll probably not see a large innovation or a transaction there. Then your mind should be rushing towards the fact that can I do large volumes? Can I hire a lot of people to do large volumes, the fastest, best possible work at lowest possible price? So that's only a volume game that we have to do. If you're looking at international taxation, for example, there are a lot of companies opening up office across the world. I want to open one. I don't know whom to go to. I have only 4 big companies to go to, right? But with today, with the AI coming, I asked the AI in 5 minutes, where should I open my subsidiaries? It gave me a report and I had to pay some X amount of money to a big four. The report is the very same report. Which means now you have an ability, if you like international taxation, you have an ability to do it very quickly at large pace and help your customers. Don't let them get out of you if you come to any of these questions. Try and do a little bit of research and you'll be able to charge a lot of amount of money for that. One report for international taxation to put up a subsidy can cost you anywhere from 25 lakh rupees, 30 lakh rupees. You should be happy even charging 5 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees for that. Which means you should use one of these aspects to do your jobs a little faster. If you are not doing valuations, you want to do valuations, great opportunity because आपको DCF calculate नहीं करना है, वो आपको AI करके देता है. But you have to be careful in terms of how you're doing it, what you're doing. Amazing opportunities if you want to write a report because you've never written a report in life, your report never compares with any of the big guns ka reports, right? Now you have an AI to be able to help you to do it in the right fashion. So you have a fantastic opportunity. So these opportunities should help you to sharpen what you already have or build on top of what you already have, right? But if you want to be like, you want to go out and smash the world, then you have like 500 other opportunities to go out and smash the world, right? So I could probably continue this and say that you have fantastic opportunities in creating sustainable platforms for making people take decisions, which are MIS platforms. So don't look at MIS in the way that the old world used to look at MIS. Look at MIS in a completely transformational manner. If people are running organizations, companies, 100 people, 200 people, 500 people, how do you bucket it? How do you do it? Make it into a factory pattern and take the same MIS and go to 500 people across the country. You'll be able to make money out of that. You'll end up having a 5 crore, 10 crore practice out of that. Right? So pick up anything out of this. If you have something in your mind, tell me and maybe I'll be able to add my 2 cents on opportunities.
So once we identify a particular line of service,
yeah,
how do we market ourselves to go very fast?
Okay, I think now, so finally we have a good question here. All of this is fine. Your inability to spend money on marketing and ability to go and tell the world what you're doing, how you're doing the best is the biggest negative that I think we have, right? We're not sometimes able to do that piece very, very well, which also is because of our historic problem that, we don't market ourselves very well because the institute, of course, does not allow the firms to be marketed, whatever. And now I think they're opening up. I think the institute has done a fantastic job in trying to open up to the best possible manner. But just come out of that mindset. If you want to stop practicing, please stop it. If you think it is hindering, just to clear your mind. But to get to the right marketing, I think the first thing is that you should be seen in every event which matters to you, not from an institute event perspective, but a industry event perspective. So if you think that there is opportunity in medical science, please be at all medical science events. If you think that there is opportunity in robotics car, please be in robotics car all event. If you think there is an opportunity in doing AI/ML where either medical or data, please be in any data-oriented event. You can then connect the data orientation to your business that you're good at. If you do a lot of trading companies ka audit, you understand trading very well, international trading very well. Please be at every trading houses in the world. Understand from those trading houses. So What I'm trying to say is invest your time first, making sure that you are at an event which is relevant for you. It does two things for you. It builds up your network and it helps you to understand what is coming up in the world. The second thing that you do from these events is come back and you should always have um, any thought process that you have should be converted like a product. Like for example, I don't know, I was talking about maybe creating transformation platform for MIS, right? So you have to think through this and convert it into like a real product. Product means doesn't mean a software. It always doesn't mean a software. What it means is that these are the inputs that I will take. This is where I will inject it, and that could be a software. And this is the outcome that I'll pick from the software and add my 2 cents. And this is what I'll deliver to you on the second of every month. This entire thing is a product. Productize it and then put it on a framework in a way that you are able to create a nice presentation around it. That becomes your deck for marketing. And the biggest, again, problem statement is how do you create a network in the demand side of it, right? You understood supply, you understood there is an opportunity. How do you create yourself in the demand side of it? The easiest that you could do is you could go and join any industry forum where there is any new thing happening. Or else, I think the first thing that I mentioned to you, the events help you to actually connect with almost just about everybody who's likely to come there who are critical to that function. You will only be able to market yourself if you have done a fantastic job around understanding what you want to deliver as an outcome. Otherwise, you'll not be able to go and make a presentation anywhere. So make sure that you're not wrong there. The second last piece is please invest in what you're trying to do, which means you might have to do it free for people. So do not be cagey. The first, the second, the third, and the fourth, and the fifth is always a learning curve for you, right? Which means you have to put your time without money. So if you find a low-hanging fruit कि कोई काम देने को तैयार है, which is different from what you've been doing, one, and which is closer to what you want to do, jump onto it. Jump onto it. So for example, if you meet people like me and say that boss, मुझे systems audit करना है, the easiest way to do this. So I had a lot of people 10 years back. I had a lot of people come from Aurangabad everywhere. They just said that sir, मेरे को 2 महीने आके काम करना है. I don't want to make money for whatever reason. Not that we don't want to pay money, but they want to learn. So that's a very good way because you're showing your ability. Ki boss, I want to learn by shadowing, right? And eventually you learn good, and people are able to absorb you very well. So make sure that you invest in there. And the last piece is that once you're able to strike gold with even 1 or 2 companies, now is the time that you don't stop the momentum and you have to be really fast with the momentum, really, really fast with the momentum. And if you see that the scale and the size is likely to come up reasonably well, then you try and go and convince other 2 or 3 people because you need speed now, you need money now, right? Or you need people. You need money for people. So either you're able to get people like this in a room and make sure that you try this very well, or you get money from somewhere. It's also a good time in this country to innovate something and go and get money because money is becoming easy. Money is an easy commodity to get. People are difficult commodity to get. So that's probably the last piece of it. But the most important piece is you have to clear the clutter in your mind. Karna kya? You have to clear it. Like a kid, you have to clear it. That either I'll try this, either I'll try this. And you have to also clear in your mind that do you want to sit at the supply side of it or the demand side of it? Right? Whom do you want to serve? Do you want to serve the supply side or do you want to serve the demand side? You'll have to figure out which place that you want to work with initially, and then you can shift left or you can shift right. So, and of course, you can do all of this social media engagements and all of that, which is a standard marketing practice. But making sure that your presentations are very, very neat, colors, fonts. I have seen that our presentations are not very good. Even if you have to pay 50,000, 1 lakh rupees for it, please do it. Please do it. The day you make. जो जितने भी engineers हैं now, उन लोग business चालू करते हैं startup, their presentation decks are always good. They always give it to somebody to make it, or they go and use one of the technologies to do it. That's also one of our problems historically. I think with the new generation, that's not a problem. Please make sure that all of those are right. I make sure that I love the in Anderson, they used to give you a form to fill. I love the quality of the form. You put your photograph in 1999, 1996 or something. The form ka, the page ka quality was beautiful. The day I made my form, I said I want to have a 250 GSM document to take to anybody walking in as an employee. The first impression is that form, right? Start from there. If you're struck gold and you want to really put up a good firm, make sure that every piece of quality from your cards to your form to your letterhead to your diary looks really good. Everything makes a difference. Immerse yourself in what you're trying to do. For example, when I wanted to become an auditor, I was in suits and jackets, and I would have overspent myself on suits and jackets at that point in time, right? And when I changed and became a little more techie, I suddenly realized that suits and jackets don't help you to become techie. So if you see me nowadays outside anywhere, I'll be in hoodies, right? I'll go to US, I'll be in hoodies, or even here also nowadays, I just simply go and speak well like that. You have to immerse your mind in what you're trying to do. Not because I like hoodies or I like jackets. Of course, I like jackets. Maybe they're better. You're auditors, so they suit you better, but not for the work that you're trying to do, right? So everything is different. Everything is different. Today's chartered accountants may not be in jackets. They can be in sleek t-shirts, right? So make sure that you are relevant for that job. From that style has to be embedded. Everything has to be embedded. You should look like a person who's been there, done that. That's your first impression of marketing. Helps a lot. Helps a lot. All right, so we are at 4:30. Any parting questions that you would have for me? Otherwise, I would want to end this by saying that you'll probably have a little difficult time in the future to find human beings, either on the internet or otherwise. That is the speed at which it is changing. And you would also be surprised that finally, if we come to a conclusion that we are not human beings but humanoids, I wouldn't be surprised. Um, I was in a very nice lecture by Steve Wozniak, who was the co-founder of Apple, and when he described the human body, he made it look like a robo to say that your eyes are literally nothing but AR VR. Your eyes don't see, your mind sees. Eyes is just a glass. Correct. You want to do innovation where if you cut your skin, it grows back, it comes back, right? It heals itself, self-healing. So the way he was trying to explain that, what makes you believe that we are not humanoids, nobody had an answer. We literally thought we are humanoids. Ask me why. I would say what would be a human being's final frontier goal in life? Like हम इतना innovation कर रहे हैं, हमको मार्स पे जाना है, ये कर रहे हैं, वो कर रहे हैं, ONDC बना रहे हैं, UPI बना है, ये क्या fast transaction कर रहे हैं, medicine science, you want to make people live till 200 years, you can reproduce a heart, whatever. What's the final goal? You've not been, satisfaction is one. Well, what's the final goal? What's the final outcome? Understanding a human being, creating a human being is the final outcome, and you've achieved it, right? Right. So somebody somewhere in the galaxy would have probably achieved this of creating human beings, right? So I'm saying the way that you're seeing transformation, Star Trek we thought was not a reality, it's a reality now, right? This I thought maybe 10 years back what Steve was only saying was not a reality. Today I think it's a reality. It's actually right. So I'm saying that you have in this world an opportunity which is huge, and our mindset is unfortunately caged in only 4 aspects of what we do on a daily basis. So please unburden yourself from that first, which is very important, and then declutter yourself and then figure out what you want to do. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your patience listening.